This is the only video you're going to need to become a great storyteller. And it's going to be super simple. We're going to go through all these points, and by the end of this video, I promise you, your stories are going to be impactful, interesting, and are going to make a difference whenever you present them in meetings or speeches or wherever. So let's understand the art of storytelling. Hi, I'm Sumit Tripathi, your public speaking coach, and I help senior professionals as well as entrepreneurs speak with authority. And today we'll dive into storytelling. So the first thing that you have to remember when you want to tell a good story is you have to make it personal. I see a lot of people, they come on stage, they start talking about inspiring personalities like Muhammad Ali or Shah Rukh Khan or Cristiano Ronaldo, but the audience does not want to hear that because they already know these stories and it's just one quick Google search away. If you really want to play with the curiosity of the audience and make a real difference, talk about stories from your own life. We don't want to hear stories from celebrities. We want your original journey. So talk about yourself, your experiences, or somebody close to you, like a friend, a family member, anybody. This way, the story makes a direct impact on the audience. Like if I say, Messi was a laborer's son and then he became a great footballer. That's okay. We all know that. My cousin used to play football and he used to love football, but unfortunately when he was 18, one day the football just hit his eye and his eye burst open. He couldn't see from it anymore. And that is where his career stopped. He would have been greater than Messi if he would have continued playing. But unfortunately, life had other plans. See how this is more impactful? Because this is personal to me. It's something I have experienced and I'm sharing it with you. And our nervous systems are like mirrors. So if I feel sad while telling a story, or if I feel angry or inspired, you will feel it too. But if it's not my story, if I'm talking about Messi or somebody else, I can't feel those emotions because I have never lived through those experiences. So make it personal. The second thing you have to remember is you can try starting your stories from the end. So instead of saying, oh, this is how the character started and then they solved this problem, blah, 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 and this is how they reached where they reached. Start from the end. Give your audience the payoff. Something like this. I remember I was lying on the floor and almost blacked out. My knee was bleeding. I was completely drenched in sweat and I could barely breathe. And all this happened because 2 hours earlier, ... Suddenly I have your curiosity because I've already given you the payoff of how the story ends. Now you are curious, Sumit, how did you even reach to such a circumstance? A great example for this is the movie Dhoni, The Untold Story. You will see in the opening scene, Dhoni takes his bat and is about to go and play a cricket match. And we already know that part of the story. But what we don't know is his journey. And that's why the movie goes in reverse, taking us through his journey after the payoff. So this is a good trick to get your audience curious about your story. The third thing you have to do whenever you tell any story is learn to be vulnerable. I see a lot of storytellers, leaders who just go on stage and act like they are the most perfect human being ever. They never made mistakes. But there's a problem with that. When you're not vulnerable with the audience, it just feels like bragging. And nobody wants to hear bragging. They want to learn something from your journey. So even if it's tough to open up to your audience, even if it's tough to share your experiences that made you who you are, I urge you to start doing that. I urge you to be vulnerable. When you are open about your experiences, people will connect. That's why I am very open about my circumstances. 10 years ago, I had extreme social anxiety and it was very hard for me to cope with it. I used to get bullied. People used to punch me. They used to throw rocks in my bag. And on top of that, my parents also were divorced. So just because I'm vulnerable, people connect with my story. So if you want to make an impact, please stop being perfect. Nobody is perfect. We all have our flaws and our journeys to share. Then you have to remember to choose the emotion you want to convey in your story. If you choose no emotion, your story will fall flat. But if I decide that I want my story to be a funny story or a sad story or something inspiring, then I am going to try and relate an incident that will make you feel that emotion. And of course, your voice modulation as well as body language also plays a picture. If I'm telling a sad story, my voice will become deeper. I would start speaking slowly. My movements would be much slower. But if my story is exciting, my voice is higher, I'm moving much more, I'm trying to smile. This way, the audience will feel your energy. And a good way to practice this is start watching more movies. And when you watch movies, I want you to observe how these actors are able to generate emotion through their facial expressions, through their voice, through the words they speak. How are they able to manipulate what you feel on the inside? And you don't have to take notes. I just want you to be aware. The moment you're aware, your body is a natural learner. It will pick up on those things subtly and you will start implementing them in your stories as well. So just try to observe these emotions. And lastly, the biggest tip I want you all to leave with today is make the audience visualize your story. If your audience cannot visualize the story, then it is going to fall flat. Let me show you the difference. Suppose the story was, it was a Monday morning, I woke up and I was late for work. I went to the office and my boss screamed at me. This is completely flat, right? Because I skipped out on all the details. But if I were to make you visualize, it was Monday morning and I was so lazy. I thought it was Sunday. I looked at my alarm clock and it was already 10:30. My hands started shivering and I quickly looked around, grabbed the first thing I could find for my breakfast. It was a half-eaten omelette. Oh God, it was disgusting. And then I put on a shirt, put on a blazer, put on my socks and tried to book a Rapido. But Rapido was not accepting. I tried Uber, I tried Ola, I tried all the apps. And finally someone accepted after 15 minutes. Then I got into the cab and I said, please, bhaiya, chalo, late ho raha hai. And then he did not care. He went at his own pace and I was met with Bangalore traffic. By the time I reached, it was 1 p.m. And I remember my boss, he's a big guy with a big pot belly. He walked up to me like this and said, Sumit, did you see the time? I said, yeah, sir, I had gone for lunch. And he believed me. So you see how I was able to take my experience and help you visualize it? This is the power of storytelling. So if you want to learn how to become an impactful speaker who can speak with authority, make a difference when they communicate, then book a call with me and I would love to help you get there. Until then, I will see you in a brand new video.